third day of this. We're going to get two more types of problems today. As I said, the first one is going to be the geometry-based problems. The second ones today are going to be just more of an application to real-life stuff, as far as it's very similar to one we've already done. You'll see what I mean when we get there, but it's going to be more application-based. The geometry is going to be something that you definitely are going to see more and more of, so please make sure that you ask questions as we get started on this. When you have a geometry-based problem, one thing I will say is that you definitely need to draw a picture. So starting off with, the first thing you're going to do is draw a rectangle. Okay, in this rectangle, you're going to have a length right here and here. You're going to have a width right here and right here. This is one of the few times that I would say that using other variables would be a good idea. I would personally use L and W for length and width. You do not have to do that, guys. You are allowed to define your variables. You're going to be the ones choosing what variables to use, unless they tell you otherwise. You're going to be the ones choosing what variables to use and defining them. No matter what you use, you still have to define your variables, even if it's L and W and it's obvious. L equals the length, W equals the width. You still have to define what they are. Bless you. That's still 2 points on that problem, just like it is on every other one. The first thing we're going to talk about is perimeter. Guys, in a rectangle, how many lengths are there? Look at the picture, guys. How many L's? 2. So it's 2L plus how many widths? How many W's? 2. Is it right now? Yeah. Yep, go ahead. Huh? I'll post the video, so it'll be fine if you miss any of it. Okay. So 2L plus 2W is equal to, what's the perimeter say it's equal to? 78. Perfect. There we go. The length of the rectangle is, guys, the length is, so the length is L, and is usually 95% of the time means what? Equals. And then twice the width. How do we get twice the width? Times it by 2, so 2W is exactly right. Y'all got quiet on that one, but you were correct. Multiply it by 2. Do you see this problem needs to be solved by substitution because it already has a box ready? Put a box around that. You're going to plug it in where the L is in this problem. So it's going to be 2 times 2W, lots of 2's in this problem, be careful, don't get messed up, plus 2W equals 78. Does anybody have a question about why I plugged it in where it is, how I plugged it in, anything about plugging in? Okay. 2 times 2W is going to be 4W plus 2W equals 78. We're going to combine like terms. The 4W and the 2W are like terms. They can go together. That's going to be 6W equals 78. We're going to divide both sides by 6. And you're going to tell me, because I don't know, what 78 divided by 6? 13. 13. Perfect. 13 is going to go right here. Now, guys, this has a unit to it. What unit goes with the 13? 13 what? Centimeters is correct. Put that on there so that when you write your sentence, it's on there so you don't forget it. Okay, where do we plug it back into? Into the box. Into the box, guys. Length equals 2 times 13. Length equals 2 times 13 would be 26. That's 26 what? Centimeters. Up till there, does anybody have any questions about the process, plugging it back in, anything about the work for the problem before we write our sentence? Just the work for the problem. Okay, here we go. Sentence. It says find the dimensions of the rectangle. Guys, dimensions are their length and their width, their height and their base, whatever it is that there are as far as measurements on that shape. In this case, it's a length and a width. So the length is 26 centimeters and the width is 13 centimeters. And it needs to have the unit next to it or it's going to be points off. Just like if it's dollars, it's got to have the dollar sign. Just like if it's going to be meters, it's going to need the meters beside it. Just like any of the units that we're going to be dealing with, when you're dealing with real life stuff, you need to make sure to put that on there. Right. Does anybody have any concerns, questions, anything about it? I know a couple of people are still writing. I'm going to be giving them a minute, but anybody have any more questions before we start thinking about the next one? No? Anybody still working? Okay, guys. Next problem. Read the next one. What shape are we talking about? A triangle. What kind of triangle? Ooh, let's see if you remember what that means. Isosceles triangle. What does that mean about this triangle? It's important. Huh? Not how many sides it has, because it is a triangle, but it's something about the sides. The way my teacher, what was it? Huh? They're not equal. That would be what's called a, what are we talking about? Scalene triangle. Scalenes have nothing the same. Equilateral have them all the same. So an isosceles is going to have two of them the same. Okay, so right above it, write two sides the same, something so you'll remember that. Two sides the same. Grab that. I'm taking it. Sorry. Okay, so if we have two sides the same, then you're going to be looking at a triangle that looks something like this. This is not drawn accurately, guys. This is just an approximation. Ooh, that looks more like a witch's hat. Let's try that again. Two sides the same. There we go. So this side is going to be the same as this side. That's an isosceles triangle. Okay. It says 4 times the length of the non-congruent side decreased by 2 times the length of the congruent side is 24. Find the length of each side. Well, guys, they just defined your variables for you right there. We've got x equals and y equals. What are we talking about? The congruent sides and the non-congruent sides. Okay? So, when we define this, which one came first? The length of the non-congruent. I'm going to go in the order that they come in just to make my life easier, just to try to stay consistent. It does not matter. You define your variables. I had the length of the non-congruent side first, so I'm going to say x is the non-congruent side. Guys, the one that's not the same as the others means non-congruent, so that's going to be this one down here, so there's an x down here. For the y, I'm going to say the congruent side. So that would be this one and this one. There's 2 of those. That's what congruent means. They're like something else. Right. Now perimeter. We're going to go back to that sentence again. The perimeter of the isosceles triangle is 56 feet. Perimeter just means add up all the stuff on the outside. Well, how many x's are on the triangle? 1. X. Plus, how many y's are on the triangle? 2. So 2y. Perfect. And what's it equal to? Wait, what's the perimeter? That's 56. There you go. That's the first equation. Add up the stuff on the outside, it equals the total for the perimeter. Okay, the next one says 4 times the length of the non-congruent side. Stop there. That's a lot to say, just what? What does 4 times the length of the non-congruent side mean? 4x. That's it, 4x. Decrease by, so what are we going to be doing? Subtracting. 2 times the length of the congruent sides. What's 2 times the length of the congruent sides look like? Yeah, but we already had the negative, so 2y is fine, but yes, it is negative 2y. However you look at that, we already had the negative, so that is true. It's decreased by, so. And then is 24. Guys, what does is mean 95% of the time? Equals 24. You see this one actually screams to be solved by what? Elimination. Because what already happens? The y's already cancel out as 100% correct. There you go. Here's where someone's going to get all that right and make a mistake on the arithmetic or the combining like terms here. What is x plus 4x? 5x. Equals, what's 56 plus 24? 80. Okay, no problems with that. Divide by 5, and x equals, what's 80 divided by 5? 16. Okay. What is that? 16 what? Feet. 16 feet. 16 feet. Alright, guys, when you're plugging it back in, it makes no difference which one you plug it back into, but do you see the top one has no negatives in it? I tend to avoid the equations with negatives unless the numbers are like completely outrageous on them or something. I'm going to go with the top one just because it has no subtraction in it. So it's going to be 16, I'm replacing this x, plus 2y equals 56. I'm plugging that back into the x in the first equation. I'm going to minus 16 minus 16. It's going to make it 2y equals 40. Okay. Divide both sides by 2. And y equals 20. That's going to be 20 feet. When you write it next to your thing, don't just write 20 because you're going to forget to write the feet on it when you put it in your sentence. I'm not grading this part. This is about you being able to write your sentence based on what's written here. This part next to it, the 16 and 20, that's not graded. Just the defining part is graded. But this is for you to help you write your sentence. Okay, it says find the lengths of each side. So, which one came first, the non-congruent side? The non-congruent side is 16 feet. And now you got to be careful how you say it. Okay? Both congruent sides, so you talk about both of them, are, what were they? 20 feet? Now, you could have said, and the congruent sides are both 20 feet, they're each 20 feet, something to say that there's more than one of them, okay, and that they're actually, each one of them is 20 feet. Any concerns, questions, anything about the geometry problems before we do the other two? Again, these are application based, but you're going to see they're very much like the ones that we had with the money before. Very similar to those types of problems. Anything? Yes, sir. What about what? What about the 24? What about it? We used it. We set it equal to 24 right here. Did you not set it equal to 24 when you did that? You got it? Okay. Go ahead, ask me. Sometimes I may ask you more follow-up questions. Yeah. It's been on. It's done. That's good. Usually it doesn't go that way. Okay. Did you see what you needed? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, guys, the other half of this then is going to be the problems that are more similar. What we're doing, these are more application-based. You've done some that are similar to this, not exactly, but similar to this. It's just more like real-life stuff. Here we go. At a professional basketball game, the turnstile count showed 17,406 people paid admission. The total cash received was $133,372. That's really ridiculously low because tickets to a pro game are like expensive as heck. Find out how many people paid for reserved seats. Yeah, there's no way they pay this little. And how many people paid general admission at $6? Now a college game, maybe, but a pro one, probably not. Okay, so it's number of people that paid each type of seat. So it's going to be X equals number of, what is it, reserved seats? Reserved seats And then Y is going to be the number of general admission. Now guys, how do I know it's the number, not the amount, like the value of it? Because they already give me the value. They're saying how many people, what is that number of people that did that? So, just like before when we started with like the number of stamps, it's related to that kind of problem. You're going to be taking and just doing the total number first. So if you add the number of reserved seats and the number of general admission, the X plus the Y, what does that total up to? How many people attended the game? That's the 17,406. As far as money, what are we going to put next to the X for the money? That's the $10 tickets. And if you would want to put something here just so you remember which one's which, you could. That's not, again, not a requirement. It just helps you do it when you set up the problem. For the Y, then, it's going to be plus 6Y. And what was the amount of money that it totaled up to? That's the big 133,372, 133,372. We don't put dollar signs in the equation. All we're using is the actual number. Now, you can multiply by either number, guys. It makes no difference which one y'all want to multiply by at all. Which one do y'all want to use? Negative. Well, I got both. Negative 6? Okay. I would have done negative 10 just because I can multiply by negative 10 in my like without using a calculator, but it's not right or wrong, guys. Negative 6 is actually smaller, so it's going to give you smaller numbers. You will have to use a calculator for this one, though, because I don't know what negative 6 times 17,406 is. Do the math on that real quick. $104,436. There we go. 372. Did y'all get negative 104,436? I just want to confirm the numbers are the same. Okay? So that means your Y's are going to cancel out. Your X's are going to combine. A negative 6 and a positive 10 is going to give you 4X equals. And then negative 104,436 plus 133,372 gives you what? It's like 20 something thousand, 29 something, 28 something. Do the math, guys. 28,936. Okay, perfect. Divide both sides by 4 and X equals. Should be like 7. I'm doing the math in my head. 7,240. Is it 34? Thank you. There we go. 7234. Okay, I'm going to put that back up here. 7234. And these are what, people? I always put some kind of unit, some kind of something, so when I write my sentence, I know what it is. These are people buying these tickets. Okay, I'm going to plug that back into the equation that's easy where the X is. Guys, make your life easy. Plug it into the easy one. 7234 plus Y equals 17,406. And plug it into this equation. Minus 7234 minus 7234. Y equals. It's around 10,000. 172. So 10,172 people did this one. Concerns, questions, anything about how I set it up, anything about it before we write our sentence? Some of y'all already writing it. Let's see if we can get this written. How many people, find the amount of people paid for reserve seats, and how many people paid general admission. So 7,234 people paid for reserved seats and 10,172 people paid general admission. Okay, concerns, questions, anything before I go on? I looked it up because I knew those were really low. The average price for regular games, not like big games, regular games, is like $95. So this is not realistic. Okay, anybody still writing? Yep, take your time. Guys, you just need to let me know. I'll wait. I just can never tell if y'all are working on the next one. The next one's very applicable. I can't say that word. It applies. Applicable. You good? Thank you. Okay, guys, so our last one today is going to be about real life stuff. It's about buying different things. In this case, we've got burgers and fries. They're trying to find the cost of each one. So when you see this, it's got burgers and fries and their costs. So it's going to be X equals the costs of each burger. And listen to me, guys, it's the same thing as the shoe. If you say the cost of a fry, I'm going to mark it wrong. Please listen to me. You're not buying a fry. It's the cost of an order of fries. Please do not put the cost of a fry because I'm going to mark it wrong. It's not the cost of one. They're not selling you one when they sell you fries. Alright, so the first equation, guys, it's based straight off the sentence. 2 burgers. How do we write that? 2 what? 2x. Plus 2 orders of fries. What's that going to be? 2. And what's the total? $4.16. $4.16. For the next one, we've got 7 burgers, so 7x. Plus 5 orders of fries, 5y. This time the total is $12.64. Anybody have a concern about writing those equations? I'm hoping these are getting easier as you're doing these more and more. You're seeing where the sentences are leading to those equations. That's why we did these separate sets of notes instead of doing this. They expected us to do this in 2 days, guys. A set of notes on one day and a follow-up day the next. It does not go well when we do that. Okay, guys, what do you want to cancel it out to? You can either make the 2 and 7 into 14 or the 2 and 5 into 10. 10. Okay. So what do we have to multiply the top by to make it into 10? You want to do the negative on top? Perfect. Negative 5 up there. What would I have to multiply the bottom by to make the 5 into 10? 2. Does it matter which one you make negative, guys? No, it doesn't make any difference at all. It doesn't matter at all which one you make negative. You just got to make them into 10. So, negative 5 times 2 is going to be negative 10x. Negative 5 times 2y is going to be negative 10y. Negative 5 times 460, I don't know, y'all have to do the math on that. 2080? Yeah. Negative, I assume. Negative 20.80. Okay. Give you a minute to get to there. This does have money, guys. You're going to have to make sure you understand. And in the end, when you write money, if it doesn't have a spot, you do have to have 2 spots behind the decimal place in money. You can't just put 1 when you're writing money. Money's a real life thing. On the bottom, 2 times 7 is going to be 14x. 2 times 5 is going to be plus 10y. And 2 times 12, 64 is going to be 25 point something. 0.28? Okay, there we go. The y's cancel out. the x's go together. When you combine a negative 10 and a positive 14, that's going to give you 4x equals. When you combine negative 20.80 and 25.28, it's going to be 4 point something. 48, thank you. 4.48. You're going to divide both sides by 4. That math isn't bad because the 4's go in nicely. That should be 1.12. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Guys, what is that really? Not just 1.12. It's $1.12. It's real life. $1.12 is the cost of a burger. It does not make any difference which one you plug it back into, but because the first one has the smaller numbers, I'm going to use the first one. 2 times 1.12 plus 2y equals 4.16. Does anybody have a question about why I plugged it in where I did? Anything about it? Why there's a 2 in front of anything about this process at all on that plugging back in? Okay, let's do the math. That's going to be 2.24 plus 2y equals 4.16. You're going to minus that 2.24 from both sides. Makes it 2y equals. And you're going to do the math on that. What is it? 1.92. Okay. Divide both sides by 2. So it's 0.96. There you go. So 0.96, it still has the dollar sign out in front. When you put the decimal like that on change, you still write it that same way. You do not use a cent sign. That changes the decimals, and you do not want to get into that. I'm going to stress that strongly. You change the decimal points when you use a cent sign. It moves the decimal point 2 places, just like a percentage sign does. You don't want to mess with that. It can mess people up very badly. I would stick with the dollar sign out in front of it. So when you write your sentence, find the cost of each burger. So each burger costs $1.12, and each order of fries costs 96 cents. So I could write a 9. That's not a 9, guys. 96 cents. There you go. Okay, when you are done, that is your notes for today. When you are finished, you're going to take this and put this in your notes section. I'm going to go ahead and give you the new assignment. I will say, however, though, I sent out, y'all did get the key yesterday, I'll remind, right? I said that yesterday. It was about 5 or 6, somewhere around there. I sent that out to you. I'm going to go over questions of that in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and give this out because some people are doing very well on this and don't need time. I'm going to go ahead and give this out to you, though, so those people can start. But I am going to take any questions for the rest of the period. I'll answer questions, guys. It is up to you what you need to ask me about. Huh? Yeah, talk to me in a minute after I get up here. Let me get done going over this homework and then you can get the answers. Thank you. Okay. Okay, guys. This is completely up to you what it is that you need to ask about.